live before we go live. Friday podcast where we're going to try to talk to you about what it is that we want to accomplish. We've got some very well-known powder coaters in the industry, known for their skills and their, I guess, ability to um, ability to do bespoke like no other, right?
There you go.
And so we're happy to have Roro from Roro Designs,
Hey.
Justin Marshall from Triple G's. How did you do
I
that?
thought something legitimately was in front of me. All right, balloon sweet.
Scott.
Okay, thank you.
Taking a delivery. It's still a live shop. I got grumpy old Ross in the background. So we also have Ashton from Palmer's Powders and Rich King from Rags to Riches.
Hey, hey.
So thanks for joining us today. We are going to have, obviously Ross is going to join us on the live on March 1st. And I think possibly some other surprise guests. We're still working out the background and the details to it all. This is kind of like, for us, this is like a dry run, I guess, so to speak. I just want to hop over to Instagram and see what happened. Oh, if we're going live. So let's click on that button. And we are live on Instagram too. So that's awesome. I can see that happening. Let me see if I can move this over. I guess people can comment on this live. I'm not sure if it comes through on the feed, but we do have
Yeah, there is a chat option at the bottom.
There is
Right.
a chat. Yeah, I'm not sure if people can see that or not.
All right,
But
I don't know if the chat. I don't know if the chat's frozen. The comments are for everyone else.
oh, here we go.
No, it's
We've
going.
got-
Like
we've
Kane's
got
Coating's in there.
Ah, hi, Kane's
People are
Coating.
popping in.
There we
That's
go.
awesome. Hey, Powder Tech Corby. Hi.
Yeah,
from
if I go on the
UK.
chat, then I lose all this.
I'll focus.
Yeah, exactly. So
I could charge actually.
I do
could
need
charge
someone to monitor chat comments if you can kind of bring them to my attention.
I don't know if I could sign in twice, but I have a spare phone.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. So what are we talking about today? You know, we're promoting our live event. Just to kind of get down to the, oh, hello, Jacob. Welcome to the show. So happy to see you. I hope you get to participate and ask questions and stuff like that. We're doing something that's never been done before. You know, it's not easy to do and have this all set up. It's taken me a long time. And I think that part of that is the progression of the podcast, right? And how it's like, it seems to be poised to where it is to going in this direction today. And that's why I'm so grateful to have all of you gentlemen here today, because this is the heart of powder coating right here. It's not just the voice, but it's also the heart. And I think if we can come to this forum with that in mind, I think that we ultimately and authentically want to share your stories and your information. And we're still kind of figuring out how and where this is going to go from here. So I just wanted to preface that just so that people understand what we're about to do. And I think that's why we're here today, is to kind of talk about what this live custom coder forum is. A lot of eyeballs are looking at us right now, not just from the bespoke industry, but also from the greater, larger industry. And yeah, that's all I want to say about that.
Just because we're professionals doesn't mean we have a clue what we're doing.
I mean, think about it though. Like trying to wrangle all of us up at one time, that's like a feat in itself, because
Yes.
we're all in different time zones. We're all in different we got things going on. We all have things to do, but at the end of the day, I want to come
Right.
forward and help as many people as we can. Like I said, like I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to change the minds of the big box industry, but if we can change the way that people look at powder coating from the ground up, then I think that's a start.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. And keep talking, guys, because I'm going to go grab the link so that
Well,
those that are listening
like
can
for me,
sign up.
to like add to what Ashton was saying is like a while ago when I first started, and for years I did the "Whose Man Was This?" was my Instagram story of showing work that came in the shop done by other people, all the mistakes, all the flaws, and explain why it happened, and then show what I'm doing to correct it and why it should be done this way. So a very deep explanation to educate the general public, and which also translated to other coders that watched it. Like I always had people message me saying, "Oh, I had no idea you needed to do this," or "Oh, that's why that happened," etc. So my whole goal was to educate the general public to know that not every powder coat is the same, and these are results that you shouldn't expect.
That's like a major point. Like, I mean, I was a who's man at one point. I dropped out of high school and started powder coating at 18, and we hot flocked everything. And, it took me a good 10, 12 years to really get to a point to understand, like, the shit doesn't need to be 10 mils thick, like just certain things, but everybody's learning and growing. It's like, I can sit here and say like, yeah, I might be professional and I might be this or that, but at the end of the day, I still don't know my foot from my ass. I'm learning everything every day, like sometimes
like
taping's
the other
quicker,
day,
sometimes it isn't, like certain things come at certain paces for certain people, but that's also like a juggling act of like the difference between us being custom coders and the difference between production shops, like you got to really figure it. The main thing is like we have to educate the customer, but 90% of the time the customer doesn't have time or the want to learn about what they're getting or what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like Rich was saying the other day, even though we all do this day in and day out and we know the do's and don'ts, and for the most part, it's a learning curve still for us every day. Like, for instance, gloss black, like that's everybody's, at some point in time, it's everybody's kryptonite, whether you've perfected your process or not. I can do 15 sets of gloss black wheels and no issue, and then all of a sudden get one gloss black Harley piece that I fight for a week. So it's just different things and different ways to approach it to learn the nuances of it.
Well, that's why I'm here. I probably coated 10 sets of wheels silver in the last 2 weeks. I coated a set of silver today and they completely messed up. They're in the paint stripper right now.
Right.
Why did it go so wrong? So obviously I just did a couple things after that. Didn't even do half of the things I was supposed to today. Shut the shop down and said, well, now I got time for this. So I made a mistake today and I couldn't figure out why. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, forgiving yourself too is, and I guess sometimes, Russ kind of described it. He had this an incident, and he just kind of powered through it. And what it was is the hook was touching because it was it was like a retail rack, so like an upside down U with a stand, and the hook was not far enough away, and so it kind of got stuck in there. And then it was the wrong color, so then he now it's an awkward piece that you have to strip. Well, he's like, fuck it, we're just gonna just continue on. And so he sanded it and everything and prepped it again, and then did a candy over that, and still had some issues, but powered through it, so it's hard to, even when you have new stuff, how do you, you have to, I can't explain what it is, but he said you go back to this rudimentary, like, oh, that was when I was struggling. What did I do back then? Kind of mentality, I guess. Yeah.
I think the back then mentality, that's like the funny thing is you can get so deep into this and like, get so anal retentive about certain things that you kind of like, that's why I always say like powder coating is pretty holistic in the sense of like, gun settings and all this other stuff, or the pressure in the air. And it's like, I can just tell you by the first time I pull my trigger, even before I start laying, like powder on the substrate, you can just feel that it's not right, or some weird shit like that. But at the end of the day, it's like how, like, I think about stuff like when I worked in the first shop that I did here in Coeur d'Alene, Lake City powder coating, I used to do like the cleanest gloss black. And this is before people were even really laying glass with gloss black and powder. And we were doing roadster frames and stuff. And it's the dirtiest shop in the world that I ever worked in, or you ever walked in. You just start like, oh, you'd be freaking out. Like, how does clean stuff come out of here? And I kind of chalk it up to like, it's just like out of sight, out of mind, or just stop looking at it too close and just roll with it. Like at the end of the day, yeah, it might come out great. At the end of the day, it might not. It's you're just playing Russian roulette half the time.
I mean, like powder coat is like, it's a science. Like you have all this, the air, the electricity, the grounding. It's a science, but there's no science to it. I think it was like 2 days ago, I was coating stuff with the Gamma presets that I always use. I have my own air and own powder flow, but everything else is just the presets. And no matter what, I couldn't coat this part. I couldn't second coat it, and then I just hit my own preset, or like my custom setting, and it just worked right away. But I used that setting for the last 2 years, all the presets, and then all of a sudden, I just had to use my own custom settings and mess around with the gun and figure it out.
That's my biggest question in the industry is like, I mean, I was pretty set in, I've always never really listened to what the gun or the preset settings, or even just like the reps that'll come in and they're like, dude, your settings are whack. And I'm like, well, it's working for me, this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, like, I would love to be able to code at like 100 kV, 10 microamps, like I would love that. But at the end of the day, like what I see with that result doesn't work that well for me. And like, that's what I want to understand is, why isn't it working for me? Why do I have to tell the machine to do what to do?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. I just want to reach out to Lionel at Eye Candy Coatings because he's got his gloss black. And actually we were, Lionel came out, he's on the Big Island in Hilo, and he came out to help Ross after the accident. So I just want to give a huge shout out to Lionel Silva of Eye Candy Coatings. He was such a joy to work with. We totally enjoyed having him out there. And this is a great way to kind of share with you, how vulnerable we were back then, and to have him come out. And I know he's battling with gloss black Harley parts right now. And Ross and I were talking about him, about the gloss, about the black. There's something about the black powder that he struggles with. And Ross just said, he's like, oh no, you don't want me to do the black, because we had something that come in that needed black. And he was like, nope, shoot it. And it's a confidence. There is a confidence game that you play in this business.
I feel really bad for people that have that have so many issues with gloss black. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share of issues with it too. But I think I started using PPG's Midnight Black, and that stuff will go super orange peely real quick. But at the end of the day, you can lay it down and it'll look like a mirror.
Which is funny, like, you use that, and I switched to Tiger's. Well, I think it's called Mercedes Black.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's the best black I've ever seen in my life. I two-coat it, and it's like slick every single time.
Yep. It's
like you just got to figure out your black, the gun that there's exactly like, if I took your powder and tried to use it, I'd probably mess it up because you have it dialed into your gun, your atmosphere,
right,
the way you spray. But then if we switched, you'd probably mess up my black.
Well, and that's the main point that I have to put out there is, it's like, people can, the amount of messages I get a week of like, what's your gun setting, or what's your processor, this or that. Like, that might not work. Like, let's say, Justin's down in Texas where it's dry and hot and humid.
100%.
His fucking, the barometric pressure in his shop is not going to equate to my gun settings here in North Idaho. And it's probably, I would say, somewhat similar to what Roro's in, because he's in the snow, he's in the cold. Like,
it's freezing right now.
Yeah, same here.
Speaking on that though, Ashton, the other day somebody was trying to two-coat something, put a second coat on it, wasn't taking it. You commented on it and gave them some gun settings to try. So just for shits and grins, I tried it myself, and those settings did not work at all.
Yeah,
like it just
exactly
it rejected everything I tried to put on.
Well, it's like Tribo. Like Tribo won't work up here. Like Tribo systems will not work up here in the north. Down in Texas and Florida and all that shit, Tribo is bitching.
Right. Yep. Grounding is good.
So Brad Brad from Utah Powder Works, who actually I hope to have on the show soon. We keep talking about it, rapping about it. He says, I get people want to find a magic gloss black, but doing 2 coats and pulling at barely a gel.
Yep.
Like when it's like velvet.
Followed by a slightly lower cure temp to retain all gloss is more important. Can you guys comment on that?
You're I would say 90% of the TDS sheets on the market are gonna claim that you should cure stuff at 400 degrees. My ideology switched when I switched to like using PPGs, and their TDS sheet says clear or cure at 375.
Yes.
For 20 minutes at 10.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to accommodate substrate temp or substrate thickness, and I do not understand why TDS sheets in this industry at this point in time do not say it to accommodate substrate thickness, because from years and years of experience with a lot of reps, they're always saying like, if something's an inch thick, whether it's aluminum, steel, or whatever, you need to go way longer, because you have to create the mass, internal the mass has to heat up from the inside out, basically. So like, go lower and just go longer. I know in an aspect of like being in a rush or trying to do stuff in a timely manner, that sucks and it's painful, but your finished result will make you feel way better.
Yeah. So whenever I do gloss blacks, if I'm going to do like a 2 coat, what's funny is I always see and hear everyone doing I call it the wet sugar, when it starts to, not quite a gel, but it looks like wet sugar. I always hear people say you pull the parts out then and then coat them again. But I do the full like 60% cure on gloss black and then 2 coat it as if it was just any other base and clear.
Yep.
Right.
Because that'll prevent window framing too if you're going
into. As well as if there's any like dust nibs, if there's anything that I can just go ahead and sand out, you're not going to catch all that stuff when it's at the wet sugar stage.
True.
Yeah,
so you're technically just doing 1 coat at that point. I wouldn't really call that 2 coat.
You're basically doing it hot and cold if you're just going sugar and then over it again.
Yeah, like that's just really one layer to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do your that method, bro. I'll shoot, flow it out, get it locked down, start looking at what, if we've got orange peel, if we've got any trash in there, or if it's looking good, pull it out, let it cool, bring it back down, 120, something like that, ready to go with the second coat, shoot it, back in she goes, usually glass.
And especially if you're going to like mask or plug stuff off or do any vacuuming and wiping. If you're going to hot flock, warm flock it, you're going to get it all over those areas, like the back up of a wheel.
Yep.
Unless you've masked it, obviously.
Big shout out to Scott Coates. We do not not deserve that guy in this industry, in my opinion. Like he's doing God's work when it comes to like.
I probably have one of everything that he offers.
Yeah,
I don't even know
microvac.
I have the K series. I have the Honda K series valve cover like underside thing.
Yep.
I don't know anyone else who has one. I've never seen anyone post about it.
And to think, it all started with Scott Coates. I reached out to him with a caulking gun, and I said, "Is there any way you can make this something like this? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it, but something to hold your gun in the booth."
Yep.
And we talked, and literally, and a month, 2 months later, I got this 3D printer and I'm working on it, Rich, and then he sent me 2 of them, his prototypes, and these are the first ones. What do you think? And I'm like, the guy's a genius. And and from there, it just
how that guy does the work he does on top of like, product development and everything else at the same time baffles me.
Yeah.
Well, he shared that on the show. He came on the show, and I think that kind of gave me the impetus to do a custom live forum, is because he was coming from doing a God's work kind of perspective, where he just wanted to solve problems in the industry. And I think that kind of is part of the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we doing this custom coder forum? What's the point?
It's funny that you said that. I was literally just going to say something about like we're trying to problem solve. So actually it was almost a year to the day that Scott Coates put out his Honda K Series or his LS valve cover plugs.
Right.
A year, almost to the day prior, I emailed a bunch of companies about getting those made because I do so many Honda covers and I was sick of masking them off. I was sick of blowing them out, especially for blasting. And I reached out to a bunch of companies and I was going to start making them and selling them. And everyone I talked to said, no, I can't do that. It won't withstand the oven. It'd be too costly. You'd need like 10,000 units to start to even make a mold. And it kind of just died out. And I was going to get one made for myself. And then it was like a couple days later, he posted that he was making them. And I sent him a screenshot of the email and said, a year ago, I was trying to do this. And he just, and he did it. Yeah. So
dude, like the other day, I posted a picture of my Suron that I built because I just put brand new grips on it. And he's like, send me those dimensions. I'm going to make you some grips. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's awesome.
The guy is amazing. And I just want to let you know that he's come back to me and he's going to be donating. So we're having a giveaway with this March 1st event. Maybe we can kind of talk about that for just a moment. We've got Rich, you know more about it, but I know Scott just texted me back this morning. He's going to give some stuff, I think around $100 or more. So, you know, we know how invaluable his stuff is anyways. It's more worth more in gold than, you know, to powder coaters, right?
Yeah.
So $100 doesn't seem like much, but trust me, his tools are worth thousands.
They're life-changing.
Absolutely. The amount that he charges for those tools is not enough.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't say
Because literally
that.
one job, you do one job with those tools that literally pays for itself. Two times.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a good thing to say. Rich, who you?
I spoke with Monty at First and Finishing. He's a for those that don't know Monty, First and Finishing, they are a distributor of aftermarket parts for most of the popular guns. Incredible customer support, regardless of what gun you got. If you ever have an issue, whatnot. I got to know Monty when I first got into coating. Bought my first gun from him, a Gema refurbished, and he's been we've become good friends and whatnot. So I talked to him, and he said he definitely wants to be a part of this, and he's got a donation package that he's putting together. And kind of stay tuned, and he's going to reach out to me first of the week with the package. So
perfect.
Folks will definitely have that to look forward to. Also, I'm going to, just to kind of give back again to the community and whatnot. I got some cool R2R merch, some hats. I'm going to donate and throw in there also. And then I've got a couple other suppliers that I have not heard back from yet. Some big names that are waiting to hear what their corporate's going to say if we can get them to kick some stuff in also.
Yeah. And I'm
going to donate as well.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do one of my courses.
I didn't sell giveaways, right?
One of my courses or a monthly subscription or both. It just depends. I haven't put much thought into it, but I know I can offer one or the other or both.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, Benco. They have been a sponsor. Oh, how cute!
Surprise guest appearance.
Hi.
That's the boss.
Benco Sales, the supplier of B17, they're going to be giving away 30 gallons of B17.
They can just ship that directly to my shop.
Can I be on the giveaway?
Been doing this for 5 years without Kim stripping. I'm about ready to pull my hair out.
Oh man.
My goodness. Yeah. I know I was talking to Keynes actually and telling him about that. And he goes, you know how much that stuff's worth, right? 30 gallons. And I'm like, no. And he's
worth
like,
more than
$850.
Right.
He just called the other day. So I'm telling you that's a big issue. That's a big thing. Now, Valerie at Benco is, she runs it and I'm very close with her. she said that that's not going to include shipping. Okay, so please, just full disclosure, and I'll repeat this during the forum and the giveaway.
Right.
But basically, she's not going to pay for the shipping, but trust me, you can come up with the few $100s.
If you're getting 30 gallons of B17 for free, you're going to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
I got out of the stripping game last year. I said I was never going to do it. I got burned pretty bad, and a little over a year ago, and I got rid of my stripping setup and everything like that. And I don't know how you've done it for so long, Ashton, because I'm getting back into it. I'm setting up a new stripping setup.
That's my main goal this year, is to get a strip setup.
I'm just going to do a little bit better PPE and be a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
Got to be so careful.
Man,
I just got splashed the other day right on the corner of my eye, like almost hit my eye and got me on my eyebrow. And I'm like, why was I not wearing my PPE?
Yeah. Ross has one right up here, and it's discolored.
Yeah.
It's on his eyelid.
I've got a scar like right in the middle of one of my tattoos. It just looks like a cigarette burn, like a cigarette was put out right on my arm. It's just like taking away all the tattoo pigment and everything.
Man, that's exactly what happened. I had a set of 24-inch hostiles in here, and I was in a rush, didn't put no PPE in, and I reached down there to grab them, and my arm got stuck. And I dropped the wheel, and it splashed everywhere. It got all over my face. You can't see it in here, but this whole side's discolored. All down my back. So I was like, screw it. The next week, once I started healing up and everything, I got rid of it all. And it sucked since I've done that. So I'm getting back.
I did a Harley fork tube, and I put it in upside down, so it was like big end at the bottom and the small hole at the top. And I dunked it. It slipped out of my hand on the wire, and it just exploded. And it went all over my neck, my face, my lips. It went up my nose.
Oh my God!
Luckily, I closed my eyes in time and kind of went to turn, but it just splashed all over me.
Yeah, that's that's nightmare fuel right there.
I know.
It's not
well,
fun.
all I can say is, if you can afford it, get the B17E tank. Ross was a little not happy about the purchase price, but it was a little.
Who is in this industry when it comes to anything tools?
No, but they have
step out for a second.
lease to own, but you have to. I'll talk about it in a future show. I think we're gonna Brad from Utah Powder Works and I are gonna get on the show, and because he has a B17E tank, and we're gonna talk about it. But it's gotten better, and now. I don't know. I mean, he's having to do something today in the old B17 acid dip thing. I don't know what it is, something, but I think he just does his hooks now, mostly in just the acid because it's faster. But the tank is certainly worth it in terms of pain.
So the B17E you have to heat then.
Correct.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, it is, and it's very you got to get it at the right.
Is it pretty noxious compared to the old stuff?
Apparently she emailed me the other day because I was kind of complaining about that, but she's changed the formulation now, and it's supposed to be smelling better.
Because
to me, it smells like bad tomato soup, but other people say it smells like Lysol.
Yeah, I have
or something like that.
I've been using just to keep my hooks clean, or if I have anything small that I want to strip that I don't want to sit there and blast for hours. Aircraft Stripper came out with a new formulation called Aircraft Stripper Ultra, and it works pretty similar to their older, like the good stuff with methylene chloride in it. So I just buy a couple of gallons of that, pour it in a tote that won't melt, and that's what I just toss my hooks. I group up all my hooks, toss the hooks in there for a couple of days, pull them out, pressure wash them off, and it makes my life a lot easier than having to buy new hooks every fucking other week.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the point of the forum, is to kind of talk through these problems and disinformation that we find on other platforms, right? There's a lot of ever evolving changes happening in Facebook and Instagram, and
it's a giant echo chamber.
It is, yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, talking about B17 and methylene chloride, I'm afraid it's not if, it's just a matter of time when it is going to be almost impossible to get a hold of. And so for the guys, myself, Ronan, anybody that's in Ashton, anybody that's in the northern climates and whatnot, my strip tank is 300 gallons, right?
Jesus.
There is no way I can heat in Michigan. Now we've had an easy winter. There's no way I can heat a 370 or 300-gallon tank, whether it's B17E or whatever the newest, the latest, and the greatest is. It cost me a fortune. There's just absolutely no way.
You need to elevate it off the ground and light a fire under it.
Right.
Literally. And then it's gonna boil off and evaporate. Yeah. Well, that's like my hardest thing is like, one, my kids are here, quite a bit of time, so I don't need, even just the aircraft stripper I get from the auto parts store just to strip my hooks reeks like really bad, and let alone having a 30-gallon tank of whoever's stripper in my shop. Like that's one thing I'm worried about. And then two, like I'm not in that big of a shop. So the second either my landlord comes in or the fire department comes in, or even let's say I draw a red flag with the EPA, dude, they're going to have a heyday with that. And luckily I'm in the state of Idaho to where there's really no regulations on it as of yet, but it's really just more of like a national, like what Rich was saying, like it's getting harder and harder and harder to get. But I think my only like replacement for strip is, have you guys learned or seen about like plastic media?
I saw
It's just ground up plastic media. Crosslink Coatings uses it, and that stuff, like it takes a bit of time, but the media is not heating up and creating friction like garnet or green diamond or whatever you're using. It actually does it, and then it won't burn the image like other things will.
Well, it's going to be an issue because steel, you can use a burn off oven, you can get a big blast rig, and you can hammer the hell out of old steel, whatever. You've got those alternatives. But when it comes to aluminum wheels, especially let's take Roro's style wheels, the high end, really, really quality.
Anything German.
German, Japanese, all the
Japanese, man. Japanese all the way. German is junk.
The point is you're not gonna be sitting there blasting on those with a towable 185 diesel compressor. You're not going to be putting them in a burn off, so you're gonna have to have.
But people do,
unless you want to buy somebody a new set of wheels.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and go bankrupt.
This is coming. I mean, I have a lot of business.
I agree.
Where I do a lot of stripping for other coaters in my area, and because of the tank and the price has just steadily gone up and up and up, and I've had to increase what I charge the guys just because the cost has just gotten ridiculous, especially keeping that big tank full and fresh. But it's something around the corner. It's coming. I mean, and so
plus the cost of throwing it away.
Well, yeah, disposal. I mean, there's just a litany of issues that come with it. I personally would love to get away from the methylene chloride, but there's nothing that works. Let's face it, like that does. There's nothing that works like it at all. Not at this point. Now I know, there's a lot of other chemicals that are coming in, guys, but the drawbacks to those is they need to be heated. And I'm all for a better green initiative, the burning, the odor, all those things. I mean, methylene chloride, it says right there, it doesn't say it may cause cancerous react. It says it is in fact carcinogenic. Okay, it's not may, it is. So it's definitely something you don't want around the kids. The grandkids come. I have a separate building for chems and whatnot, but the point is it's dangerous. There's no doubt it's dangerous, and we need to, as an industry, what's going to be the next. Where are we going with this? Because it is going to be a thing of the past in the future.
Scale your businesses. Scale your businesses.
Be a thing of the past, and I think powder's going to start shifting more into like infrared. Like you're already seeing it in Europe. It's majorly, it's major in Europe right now. Infrared is insane, but I still don't understand how the powder's curing without the substrate being
that temp.
Something
like Rich was saying, like the heating of 300 gallons or whatever of whatever stripper you want to use, like up there when it's cold, that's an issue, right? That's a whole issue. But even down here in Texas, like right now, it's 78 degrees out here. But
send it my way.
when I got burned and I got rid of I didn't have B17, I had 1010P, and that's when I got burned and I got rid of it. And then I had a neighbor, a guy that lives down the street from me. He works for a chemical company. He's like, hey, I have something that'll work. It just has to be heated. So we built a strip tank for it, heated strip tank. But even that wasn't economical down here. And I mean, talking 100-degree summers, I was going through so much propane just to do that, you know, to heat it up. Electrical, like a immersion heater, wouldn't heat up the way I needed to. You know, it was 100 gallons of it. It wouldn't heat it up the way I needed to. The only option was propane burners, which I put crawfish pots underneath it, or crawfish burners, and set them up and put on a 100-gallon propane tank. But even I was filling that propane tank up every week, and that 100 gallons, you know, it's a couple $100 to fill that up every week.
You need to be at a certain level of stripping, and that's what we've discovered is, you know, we don't run it all the time. We can't leave it on. Our electric bill would be outrageous, and we've got a smart meter out here. So that is something that somebody actually said that last night, was talking about that in one of the, I think, one of the groups.
Powder coating in general in Hawaii sounds like my worst nightmare.
It's not bad.
You just have you guys are literally dealing with the gnarliest elements from every direction.
On every direction. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, but that's exactly what it is. And it's funny because I know you guys, I was listening to a podcast last night on a lady that's coming on our podcast next. I'm going to record it next week. And she was actually having to bring in like humidifiers because it's so dry where she's at.
Wow.
You know,
that's insane.
In order to create ideal conditions. So, you know, there is kind of that you either can create the conditions in your shop that are ideal for powder coating, because it can't be too dry and it can't be too wet. On a day like today where it's just been raining, I don't know how much powder coating he'll do. He'll do small stuff, but it kind of can mess with your scheduling and stuff that too. So it's kind of interesting. But that was what I was telling this one kid last night that was asking about, you know, because you get to this point where you're done with the acid. You just don't want any more burns. You don't want any more, and you're ready to move on to something else. But really the jump is huge, because you're dealing, our electric bill went up. We don't strip that much. We're not turning it on every day. So it takes a while for it to heat up. And so if we could do more stripping, it would make it more economical to have it, but it's still better than getting burned, right? And taken that risk. So, so let's kind of, basically what we're going to do is, just to kind of bring it full circle here, is we're about problem solving in the industry, or at least having a discussion about it like we are today, right now. We want to dissolve a lot of disinformation or misinformation in the industry. And we are going to be charging for this event, and there are going to be more joining us in the live event, including Ross and a few others. We're still kind of working out the rest of them. It's $10 to join. I'm going to put it up here on the thing. You just go over to our calendar and Luma event, and $10. And I think that it's the money that we're going to gain from this event is going to go to Black Label for right now. Just this event. We're still working things out with Victor, but we know that he's hurting a lot, and our thoughts are with you, Victor. Amen. I can't imagine what you're going through right now, and you know how we get these funds to you. It's our gift to you, right? And then from there, I see us being very successful with these and having them on a regular basis.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how do you get entered into the giveaway? Is it whoever donates gets entered into the giveaways?
Okay, so apparently, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I watched a video on this platform, the platform we use is StreamYard, and the level that I'm at is you can add a hold on, let me see if I can bring it up.
Like a generator almost, or?
Yes, it's a generator.
I think we lost Rich.
Yeah, it's okay. He'll come back. Well, okay. I don't know. Somehow I got to watch the thing again. But basically you have an auto generator, and then the people that are in the chat.
Yeah,
So you
it
do have
pairs,
to go to the live
it pairs
link.
with the people in the chat, and then
They
it'll go
have to
through
say
a random generator.
hashtag or something like that. Yeah. And then it's all included in this StreamYard thing. So
Cool.
I'll have to figure out how I probably should have figured that out by now, but
I want to say like the
Right.
biggest thing for me with like this forum and being like on here, and then like with Roro and Justin and Rich and all the other people that are going to be coming in for the actual, the live stream on March. It's really crazy because, I'm just one dude in Idaho and in a state that it's like people don't really understand that Idaho exists or whatever you want to chalk it up to.
Yeah,
but
where
like,
is that?
yeah, being like, you guys are like a lot of my idols. I look up to you guys, and like that's one thing that I want to preface on is like, we see all this cool work in this industry, and people like you guys are are laying the groundwork for people like me to understand that it's possible. So it's like,
but it goes both ways, because almost everything you do, I don't do.
But
and I'm like, how do you do all these stencils and fades?
It's imposter syndrome at the highest degree.
Yeah,
it is.
At the same time, it's like, I try to be very humble in the aspect of like, yes, I can do this or I can't do that. But, it's like, like you and Robert Soka are like, in my opinion, the best wheel refinishers in the world that I've seen personally.
In the world, yeah.
So it's
I have to agree with
to
that.
be a friend or
Thank
to
you.
be on the same panel with you guys is a huge honor for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think each one of you have something unique to share, and that's why you've been on the podcast before.
But like everybody does. Like I forget his name. The guy who started doing all the marble effect.
Right.
Man, he's all over the place right now too.
Like
Everybody's
blew
doing
up
it
right away. Like he just revolutionized something, and everybody thought it was the coolest thing. Right. Anytime you open up the Facebook group, everybody is trying it. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
That's something that, like, you know what I mean? Like, we all have something that other people look up to.
Yeah, no, that's like that's
nobody is the best at everything. We have our one lane, and then that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like my biggest shtick. That's like when I was doing a lot of the vape stuff and doing a lot of inlay work or a lot of stencil work. And then my brother being an airbrush pinstriper, obviously you can see the art on my walls. My brother did all that, but it's like having that aspect in my life for most of my life has put me into this position with powder coating. Is it's like, what can I do with powder that's A, never been done before, and B, I can take those skills and that talent and use it with this medium of art. Like I've done lace work, I've done, like the water dot effect, like certain things like that. It's like I really want to push that, because at the end of the day, I want to take the stencil work that I do and I want to be doing like leopard print on the inside of the back dishes of wheels, stuff like that, or like Louis Vuitton print stuff, like just wild shit that you've never really seen before, but it is possible. You just got to try.
Yeah, like same thing. I came from the paint world, so I'm trying to bring kind of the paint world and like mechanic stuff. Like I have a background in probably every automotive industry you can imagine. I've done it all. And then I landed on powder coat. So I'm bringing all of that work and aspects and prep to the powder world to get the cleanest work I possibly can. Like my whole goal is I want to refinish a wheel to make it look like I refinished it and then it went through any machining processes. I want all the lines as sharp and as clean and shiny metal as possible to make it literally look like it came from a factory.
No, it looks better than from the factory when you do a wheel. Fuck.
Rich, you had something you wanted to say. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I just want to say that, probably the oldest guy here and a little bit of wisdom over the years I've learned you can be good at a lot of things, only be great at one thing.
Yeah,
And
you're a
that's
jack of all
where-
trades and a master of none.
And that's where, if you look at the folks on the panel here and the people that you've had on the shows and whatnot, you know, there's just some incredible coders in this world. You know, the things that they do and whatnot. You can be a good coder, and you know, I don't feel as though, you know, I'm at nowhere near the level that Ash is, or that Roro is and whatnot with the, you know, the things that they do. But in my case, I see everything, right? I see everything from old junk from the 20s all the way up to new. So, and that powder coder, and that's what's so good about this group is because Ro is that excellent wheel refinisher, and Ashton does all, you know, all of his stencil work and that intricate stuff. It doesn't mean that just because we have an average custom coder out here that he's not a great coder or that he's not at that level. It's a different level. It's a different level, but
that's what I tell customers all the time.
You know, I specialize mostly. I love doing the old vintage gliders and the old chairs and stuff. I know the history of it, and you know, and I've learned how to fix them and refab them and remake the parts and whatnot. It's just something, you know. I still coat wheels. I do industrial. I do aviation, aerospace. Do all the other things, but I really enjoy doing that old vintage stuff. A lot of guys say, forget that. I don't want nothing to do with the two-tone and those things. They're rusted up junk. You know, forget that. But that's okay, you know, because there is a space for everybody out here. And why did I become a member of Roro's Patreon group? Because what that guy does, I want to learn. You know, 57 years old, you know, you can teach an old dog new tricks, and I want to be there and learn from this guy, right? And I've been in the game a while, you know, but I don't have near the skill level that this guy has when it comes to the craziness.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Everything's a facade on the internet.
I'm a shitty coder. I just know how to make a clean line.
So, you know, so it's okay. You know, I can say I'm an experienced coder like all these other guys, but you know what? I'm the first guy up on his Patreon page to say, let me sign up because I want to learn from this guy, man. I'm not afraid. I'm not threatened. I'm like, this guy is good. I want all the information that he's willing to give me. And of course I'm going to pay for it. He had to learn the hard way.
We're not going to, as an industry and as like the custom coding industry, we're not going to grow if we all just have animosity towards each other.
No, that's 100% right.
Yeah,
no, exactly.
See, like, I don't view anybody as competition. Like, obviously, all of us in the panel, we're in different regions and all that. But hell, even Scott's 30 minutes down the road from me. Right. And me and Scott talk all the time. Yeah. We're in different markets. We're in different lanes. I can't do things he does. He can't do things I do. Right. Yeah. Zane Musliman, Clutch City Coatings, he's 30 minutes in the other direction. It's the same thing. That dude does crazy stuff with wheels that I would never even attempt. Right. And so it's like you can't view it as a competition by any means. There's enough work out here for us all to eat.
Yeah,
and
I get you know, all day long, brother coders, and I'm going to say brother coders because that's the way I look at it. Rich, where would you be at on this? What do you think about this? What how would I do this? And they're competition, okay? But it doesn't matter because if you put out a good product and you're you know, and everybody has to start somewhere. That's what this is about. There's plenty of work out here for everybody.
We're not afraid of anybody here on Maui. And if anything, they're helping us push through to the paint trades. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there's far too many team, you know, what are the Teamsters or whatever they are, you know, the union painters.
Oh, the union, right.
I mean, they get a majority of the work. They do crappy work. They can't restore the metal.
It's turn and burn, baby.
And and we do so much better.
Profit.
You know, so my competition isn't the other guy.
Well, it's like a customer can come in and say, like, oh, you're the best powder coater in this area. And I chalk it up to being like, yeah, I might be the best, like what Rich said. I might be the best at this thing. But you have to understand, this shop is the best at that. This shop might be the best for your price and quality. Right. It just might take longer or whatever. Right. Like, I don't have a fucking 20-foot oven to run handrail all day. I did that shit for 15 years or for 10 years. And I got away from it. I got away from it because I knew that there was an area for me to help mom and pop people that are building hot rods, the father and son that's rebuilding a dirt bike, or the Harley shop that needs clean gloss black.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
come to me. But if you want cheap work, you're gonna get cheap work. Go down the street. I'm not gonna be offended by it.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I used to work at another shop, and then when I left and opened up my shop, I was busy from day one. They never lost much work. They're still busier than hell. And then even when I worked there, I could name maybe 5 shops. I could probably name you 500 shops within 100 miles right now of where I am. There are so many people, and I have never been busier. And I look at everyone else's Instagrams. They have never been busier. There's more than enough to go around.
Right.
And
Amen.
same thing, like up in like the Toronto area, I'm about an hour away. And up there's probably voters.
No, we lost him.
Oh no, he was making a good point.
There he is.
What happened to you?
Yeah, everyone does like all the high-end Mercedes and Lamborghinis, and they do all the gloss black packages on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody up there does all this high-end Japanese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're doing 2-ton or doing 2-piece to 3-piece wheels is like, I love doing that kind of stuff, but in my general area, it's like either people come here to penny pinch or the rich people don't spend their money here. So it's like I have to really gamble on like how I charge to make it, just to even get the work at the end of the day. And like doing those kind of wheels, like I would love to do those kind of wheels, but those dudes come in here with them put together, and I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to seal them. Like you're going to have to figure out somebody that's going to put them back together correctly, seal them correctly, because I don't have the tools or the means to sit here and then put all this stuff back together and then trust the fact that you're going to go drive your car down the road at 100 miles an hour. It's going to be safe.
Yeah.
Well, like you could do the work, but you don't do the rest of that work.
Exactly.
It's like me with brake calipers. Like I don't take them apart, I don't put them together, but I'll do all the work.
Right.
Same.
So the forum is gonna be a little bit more formal than this, but basically this is kind of the main group. We're going to have giveaways in between. We're gonna have a little bit more formal questions to ask you guys. This is just kind of a test dry run for us on our platform here, and we want to just kind of wrap up because I think the max you can do on an Instagram live is an hour or 60 minutes. So I know we're kind of getting close to that.
Right.
But I want to thank you all for coming today, and we hope you're going to join. I see some people joining up already. I keep getting flashes up on my phone here that people are joining. So I want to thank you all for spending.
A chance to win 30 gallons of B17.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
everybody's on that like flies on shit.
Right. We probably need to get that out a little bit more, huh? The giveaways.
Yeah, that's the selling point there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So,
Kim, one question. Did you reach out to Brian Talley at Columbia Coatings?
I haven't. I haven't.
I'll reach out to Brian unless you want to. I can reach out to Brian and see if possibly maybe he can also give us a donation and whatnot. If Columbia,
that would be nice. Especially I did chat or rap with him a while ago, but it was on another subject. So go ahead and reach out to him, and then if not, I can chime in too. Just both of us.
Brian is and we got to get going here, but to give Brian credit, he's the only out of the let's say the big box powder shops or what that are out there. He's the only one that you'll see in the groups at night answering people's questions, and he gets beat up on and everything else, and man, he takes it and he says, hey, let's talk offline and let's fix it. He's the only big box powder company out there with a vested interest that I mean, there's the owner of the company, the CEO.
I'm going to call, hands down. I'm going to call him the Godfather because of Bespoke, because he was the only one. The same thing with Ross. Ross would actually call him on the phone and ask him a question or two about powder coating. I mean, this guy really is still got a heart in the game and has helped grow the bespoke industry, the custom coating industry in definitely. And it would be an honor if he could donate a gift certificate or two or something like
Right,
that. You know, it'd just
right,
be so
right,
nice of
right.
him to do that, because we all look up to him, right?
Right. Yeah, he's
and
been
stuff.
instrumental
So
in my career. I tell you,
he
he's been
has been,
instrumental.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely, absolutely.
The good point. So let's reach out to
randomly
him.
Speaking of that, this just pops into my head. I had a conversation with Shane Hall the other day, and he said, we were talking about the podcasting that's coming up, and he said in some way we all need to talk about or put it out there of all this big list of colors to not go near for new people.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
one of the
good.
biggest, like, you know, what gloss blacks to stay away from instead of, you know,
Ah,
because obviously if you look at the group, hey, what's the best gloss black? 50
Sure.
people will tell you 50 different things, but
Right.
nobody will say what to stay away from.
Right.
Stay away from this
Good
kind
point.
of candy gold. Stay away from this copper from this person. Stay away from
Sure.
these metallics because of these reasons. So
Super
I feel
cool.
like that would be a good conversation to kind of help other, you know, new and upcoming coders, is from people who have probably tried every color on the planet. We've gone
Right.
through all the trials and errors to try figure out what's the best. Is we land on the colors we've landed on because we've gone through all the shit powders. So
Yeah, we've jumped through all the hoops.
Stay away from would be helpful.
and that leads me to the whole point of having the forum, right? You guys have already been in the trenches. What, you know, our way of helping new guys, you know, is to learn, hopefully through us, what we've fallen away from, right? So yeah, I agree, and that is another reason why we want to do this forum and continue to do stuff like this all the time. One other point I wanted to make was, I can't remember, I forgot now, but oh well, happens on a live podcast. But I want to thank everybody for coming on today and for joining us in the comments and joining us on this live on Instagram. This is kind of a new one for me. It's just a new feature they added. And I am looking forward to talking to all of you guys real soon. And March 1st, $10, Luma, link in the description here. I'll put it again, and we'll see you when we see you.
That's right.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Yeah.
See y'all
All right.
Take
Bye,
care later.
everybody.
Adios. Bye.
Bye.